My parents are demanding that I still do all of my chores even though I no longer live at home. So I, 18F, am a college student who started living in the dorms. While I still sometimes go home to do laundry, I am rarely home. I haven't been home in 3 weeks. The main reason I live in the dorms is because I don't yet have my license. I have an auditory delay that makes it hard for me to react to any noise, and it's something I've struggled with for my whole life. My parents and I don't always see eye to eye, and during my senior year we got into a major argument and they told me, "Fine, you want to be an adult, you're living in the dorms, and let's see how you feel when you don't have us to clean up after you." They pay for my dorm, however most of my tuition is covered by scholarships, and I have full coverage all the way up until my doctorate. They chose to pay for dorm living. I told them I had a plan to make it to class, but they wanted to teach me a lesson. So back to my story. When I first came home, I noticed that the internet was blocked on my devices when I went to take a test. This had only ever happened if I didn't do my chores or we got into an argument. When I asked them why it was blocked, they told me it was because I hadn't done my chores. These were my weekly chores, every week. Clean bathroom. Yard work. Clear the whole backyard of any leaves, sticks, rocks. They are very strict about this. Clean the downstairs cabinets. Dust every surface of the house, including fans. Clean the laundry room, includes mopping, dusting, sweeping, etc. Empty the dishwasher and drainer. Clean the kitchen. I have a brother who I used to share the bathroom with who lives at home. He's also a freshman in college, and recently we got into an argument about the chores. Chores are due every Friday by 7 p.m. I get home at around 2 or 5 p.m. Dinner is at 5:30 to 6 p.m. Meaning I have to do about 3 hours of work in an hour. Family dinners are mandatory and I will be punished if I don't eat with them. I asked for an extension to 8:30 so I could actually do the chores, and they said it was the expectation of their support. I have no issues helping around the house, I really don't, but it hurts when I'm constantly told, "I have to give up my dream of starting my own business because of you." Or, "We have to love you, we don't have to support you financially. Your friends won't be there if we cut you off and threw you out. Only family will, only we will." And when I just don't have time to finish all that work in my own schoolwork, I get blamed. I just can't help but feel bitter about the whole situation. I get they need help, I really do, but I guess I just wish they didn't blame me for all their problems just because I had the nerve to be born. And I got in trouble with them because I did the full dishwasher and went up to go do HW, and they yelled at me because I left some for my brother. When my older brother had a similar living situation, they didn't make him do anything, of course he helped, but it wasn't a threat or shaming him for being born. Edit. I also have weekend assignments, so if I don't do my chores, I don't get internet connection for the whole weekend. If I sleep in and miss church, I don't get internet connection. Since apparently I've been very confusing, here's the timeline of events. I go to school, then I go home on Fridays. Last time was 3 weeks ago. So the whole time before that I've been going home to do laundry. 3 weeks ago my parents dropped me off early because of a fight, and told me they didn't want to see my face. And this week I was expected to come home. We were talking on the phone and I asked if I could stay this weekend because I didn't want to be a bother and had an in-person exam this Friday. They got upset because they had expected me to come home and now they have to plan around me not being there to clean up. Now I've made this post. I should clarify I'm Hispanic and just saying no isn't usually an option. Like I've said before, I have no problem with doing the chores. It's how their language and attitudes towards any mistakes or wrenches Eve apparently thrown in the plans they didn't tell me about. This isn't something that's exclusive to Hispanic PPL. I didn't explain it properly. Where I grew up and how I grew up. But my family is Hispanic and heavily Catholic, meaning they tend to have more conservative values. My parents have even said, it doesn't matter if our values are toxic or go against whatever beliefs you have, they are the values of this house and family. I'm probably not explaining this right, but my main point is, they values the respect of family and especially elders. Edit 2. I do want the people reading this to know I am very aware that I am extremely privileged to have parents who pay for me to live in the dorms, no matter the reason. That fact is not lost on me. I'm so sorry if this is confusing. It's like 2 a.m. and I've been up late working on a project due at 10 a.m. So my bad if my writing comes off as disjointed and messy. Edit 3. Thank you all for your advice. I'm going to be honest and say it doesn't feel all too nice when you're told that you're making something up because there's no way anyone could possibly be going through that. And it's hard not to take some of those comments to heart. I made this post at 12 a.m. after a long call with my parents that ended very badly. I was upset and frustrated, and I'm sorry if I came across as rude or an attention seeker. I can promise you that this is very much my life. And I want to be clear one last time: when your whole life is reliant on someone else, saying no becomes the scariest thing. You don't think I've tried to stand up for myself? Or figure a way out? Then last time I tried to stand up for myself, they put me in the psychiatric hospital, then in a Catholic group home. Saying no carries a lot of significant cultural weight, at least in my case. And what may be an option for you isn't an option for me. I've applied to countless jobs within walking distance, my bike got stolen, and I've either been rejected or flat out ignored. I've already made plans with my friend to find a place close by. Once we both have jobs, we plan to get a loan out to at least try and make ends meet. I don't claim to speak for every Hispanic culture, but at least in mine, Puerto Rican, saying no and standing up for yourself can get you disowned. I've walked out of the house after a fight and they've locked me out. Saying no is easier said than done. There's nothing I can say to convince some people, and that's fine. But I do kindly ask that the next time you see someone who's struggling on here, don't immediately dismiss them just because you can't see their situation happening. Or because you think it's impossible for someone like me to have obtained the coverage I did. It was not easy. I spent the entirety of my senior year trying to get my application approved. And while you may not believe that I'm smart enough because of the situation I'm in, believe me, I am very much aware of my parents' favoritism and toxic values/behavior. Thank you for listening to my very long rant. And thank you all for the advice. It was heartwarming to read.
AITA family freaked out on us for something that should have never been brought into our house. We recently let my 18-year-old niece stay with us until her dad can get her moved. She's been addicted to many drugs and was moving to get clean. She came here last night. They said they searched her and she had nothing on her, so we didn't think to double check. She left the house today to go with another family member and our children had got into her bag. We found a used meth pipe and automatically freaked out since we have small children. We called her dad and my aunt who he was staying with. They both acted like we were overreacting for wanting to know if she had smoked in our house. My brother even threatened my husband, and we're basically blaming us for taking her in when he's the one who asked us to. Am I crazy for thinking that it wasn't no big deal?
AITA for refusing to support my mom after she spoiled my brothers and neglected me? I, 28F, am the oldest child and only daughter. My mom remarried when I was a teenager and her husband is very financially stable. Easily could have helped me with college. But nope. When I turned 18, my mom basically shoved me out of the house and said I needed to learn independence. I had to work full-time while paying for my own tuition and living expenses. It was hard, and there were days I asked for help, even just for money to have one meal, but no help from her came. Meanwhile, my two brothers, 24M and 22M, were babies to the extreme. Mom and stepdad fully paid for their nice university tuition, cars, and spending money. When I pointed the double standard, she told me I am the eldest, so I needed to be strong. And my brothers need more guidance. Here's the kicker: both my brothers dropped out. One of them even has a family now, and my mom still gives him money like he is 12. She literally asked me to help support him at one point while I was still juggling debt and rent. Now that I'm finally financially stable and I think my mom heard I'll be marrying soon to my longtime boyfriend who is a lawyer now, my mom is suddenly calling me nonstop. She says I owe her because she raised me and it's my turn to give back to the family. I flat out told her no. And she is now posting everywhere that I am ungrateful and cruel, and our distant relatives are all siding with her. So, AITA for refusing to financially support them when my mom spoiled my brothers into uselessness?
AITA for not wanting to go to my dad's wedding after my mom passed away. So I'm 20M, and my mother recently passed away a couple of months ago in February, and her and my dad were married for 38 years together. Me and my siblings had a really close relationship with her. She was our best friend, the glue that kept the family together. But maybe only a month after her funeral, my father was already starting to go on dates again. Me and my siblings thought it was weird at first, but we didn't think anything of it. Continue on down the line, he reconnected with a woman that he knew years ago, from when he was in his teenage years, and seemingly, she saw the video of my mom's funeral online and texted my dad on Facebook, wanting to check in with him and see if he's all right. After that point, a couple weeks later, he then sat down and told me, my brother, and my sister-in-law that he's talking to someone new, but they were just friends talking. Well, a couple months later, after that point, I started seeing my dad less and less each weekend, until he just has the routine of always leaving Friday and not coming back until Monday because she lives in Ohio. And the more he went, the more they got closer until they started dating for a bit and then got engaged. They've even started building a house together down where me and my dad live, which I'm moving into because I'm still a college student. At this point, neither me or my siblings agreed with the fact that he was doing this, as we felt it was weird. My brother even cutting off contact with him for a bit because of it. We've explicitly told him we don't want to see her or have anything to do with this new woman in his life. But as stubborn as he is, he keeps bringing her around after we tell him no. Now they're planning on having their wedding in December in Ohio, and they invited me to come. AITA for not wanting to go to this wedding?
AITA for not bringing my daughter's friend home and making her parents come get her? My daughter and I live about an hour outside NYC. Since she was a baby, I've taken her there most weekends. As she got older, she occasionally brought friends. They always know the rules. Bring a bag with things for the train, carry your own stuff, stick together, expect lots of walking, and have fun. Phones are fine, but I encourage screen-free activities. I always speak to parents beforehand and emphasize the walking. We sometimes walk 45 minutes or more. For her 12th birthday last weekend, she wanted to go to the city with friends, visit favorite spots, have dinner, and maybe see a show. My mom helped pay for tickets and joined us. My daughter invited 3 girls, 2 longtime friends who know the routine, and a new friend, Leah. I called Leah's mom, explained the rules, warned about the walking, and suggested Leah bring something for the train since the signal is bad. Leah's mom said she was excited. My daughter also explained expectations. On the train, Leah brought only her phone, got bored when the signal cut out, refused to chat or play games with the others, and complained. When we arrived, she immediately asked for a cab. My daughter reminded her we walk. As we browsed shops, Leah kept whining and asking for a cab. I stayed patient, offered water and snack breaks, and even suggested the subway to be nice, but she refused when she learned what it was. A few hours in, we stopped for dinner at a place with options for everyone. Leah complained again and said she wanted to go home. I pulled her aside to check if she was sick or upset. She just said it was boring. I told her we'd be there a few more hours for the show, but if she wanted to leave, she could call her mom. Leah called, and her mom asked me to bring her back. Even if my mom or I left with Leah and took a train back after we dropped her off, we'd miss the show, and my daughter wanted both of us there. I explained we wouldn't head back until after the show. Leah's mom didn't want to pay for a train ticket or drive. She eventually sent Leah's dad, who picked her up before the show. Leah stayed crabby through dinner. Afterward, Leah's mom trashed me to the other moms, but they backed me up, saying they wouldn't expect me to cut the trip short unless a child was sick or hurt, which I would do. Now Leah's mom won't let her hang out with my daughter. I can't help wondering if I should have just sucked it up and taken her home. AITA.
AITA for not allowing my mom to withdraw from her 401k after she's been scammed for over $1 million. Mom, 58F me, 20M. Background, my mother has sent over $1,500,000 through crypto over the past 6 months through an online task scam. She has claimed every step of the way that this is the last step, I swear. Then something pops up where she had no choice but to put more money in to retrieve all her money and more. She refuses to believe it's a scam and still has 100% confidence that it is real. She needs to send them $30,000 within 2 weeks and have no way of obtaining this money besides withdrawing from her 401k. She has already mortgaged her cars, borrowed against her life insurance, and taken out loans against her house. From what I know, the only assets she has left is her retirement, 401k, and her house, small fraction of the total value. She won't be able to sell her house within 2 weeks, so she wants to withdraw from her 401k. Since she is not 59 and a half, she cannot withdraw from her 401k. She wants to do a hardship 401k withdrawal under tuition, states she is using the funds to pay for my college tuition, and then sent that to the scammers. I believe she would need to pay tax on it in addition to a 10% penalty for withdrawing it before she's 59 and a half. She need a document from the school which can only be obtained by the student to apply for her 401k hardship withdrawal. I'm refusing to help her get this document. Her perspective. We are family and we should support each other in hard times. It's her money and she just needs my help accessing it. She's not asking for my money. It's the last step, and if she doesn't get her money after this, she'll quit. It's only $30,000 compared to the $1,500,000 she has already put in. She has put in this last bit to get it all back. She would rather lose $30,000 and have the peace of mind knowing they fully scammed her than thinking that she ruined people's lives and lose her money. She believes that they lend her money to get pay since she cannot cover the entire amount and that it's affecting their lives. I'm ruining her life because I'm stopping her from accessing her own money. My perspective. I just want her to quit sending money and realize it's a scam. If giving her the document would allow her to lose her $30,000 and accept it's a scam, I'm fine with that. She has lied every step of the way, always saying it's the last step and that she will quit but never does. Her promise to quit doesn't have any meaning, and if I enable her to get this money, I'm only ruining her life further when she finally accepts it's a scam. I don't want to be involved in the scam, even if it's just enabling her to access her money. I don't think there will ever be an end until her money runs dry, and if I don't help her here, this may be where her money runs dry.
AITA for siding with my daughter during an argument? Throwaway. Her mother and stepfather recently moved out of the country for business and she chose to stay with me. Before that we did 50-50. I met my wife a few years ago and she's been a great stepmother. She and my daughter get along well. My wife and I have a son, 6 meters. He adores his older sister and she adores him. I honestly don't know what's wrong with my wife, but recently she's been acting strangely around my daughter. The main issue started last night. My daughter was playing with my son. It was rough, but my son likes that. Anyway, they were playing in the living room while I was washing dishes. Then I hear my wife arguing quite loudly, so I stopped to check. I stepped between them and asked what happened, and my daughter said she and my son were playing until my wife came into the room and started yelling at her for being rough with him. My daughter said she apologized and said she'd be more gentle, but then my son said no and my daughter told him sorry, but your mommy said no. Then my wife started yelling at her about how she's being disrespectful, etc. I asked my wife if this was true and she got defensive. She yelled about how I'm making her look like a lunatic and showing my daughter it's okay to treat her anyhow. I was kind of fed up and told her to go calm down and talk to me when she wants to act like an adult, and now she hasn't spoken to me all day. Was I the a-hole? Edit to add: my son is 6 years old. Not 6 months, and my daughter is 16F. I was trying to keep to the character limit.
AITA for calling out my friend in front of others for saying you can't be fat and picky. My friend, let's call N, lives for drama and gossip. N always has something blunt or nasty to say, and honestly at first it was fun, but now it's became draining. The constant drama she brings is frustrating. Today's drama was talking about one of our other friend's sisters, let's just call S. We were all married in our mid-20s and the friend group, S, nearing 30 years old, is not. I don't see a problem with it, she's living life and she's always a good time. S wasn't there, but her sister just mentioned that S broke up with her boyfriend because he raised too many red flags. Me and a few others said good for her while N sked. We turned to N, who loudly exclaimed that she's not getting any younger and she needs to stop being so picky. The sister did agree, but she seemed a little skeptical of N's words. N continued on with saying that S cannot be fat and picky. Everyone went silent and a few awkward chuckles while N kept talking. N is a bigger lady, by the way, and she was the youngest married out of all of us at 20. Her husband is obsessed with her. She doesn't work or do anything around the house and no kids. He literally cooks, cleans and pays for everything. All she does is make fun of him all the time. I couldn't help it, I spoke up and told her she cannot be talking. N instantly glared at me and said, "What the fuck does that mean?" I said that you got married to a guy who's obsessed with you and you're not skinny. Who are you to say that she should settle? My friends, to their credit, did not agree or disagree. But N had a whole meltdown that I called her fat, and that her relationship is different. I just left the party after that because I couldn't stand being around her anymore. She blocked me on all platforms, and a few friends said she brings me up anytime she possibly can. I just don't care, I'm tired of her. My husband said I could have been nicer. AITA?
Wibta, if I don't help my colleague out when I said I would? For some context, at work, my colleague, let's call her Tam, is currently organizing a collection at work due to someone leaving. A collection is basically asking other colleagues in the office to sign a card and give us money so we can get the person leaving some gifts. Collections are only done for major milestones, retirement, leaving for a new job, maternity leave, etc., and are infrequent. I don't like doing collections as I have social anxiety and I have a sizable amount of works that requires doing daily. Tam is also busy as well, so we don't really have the time to go pester people for money. The problem is, we're the only ones in our team who are in the office enough, and when it's time for a collection, our team usually organizes it. Tam usually buys the card and the gifts, whereas I usually end up getting people to sign the card and give us the money. I don't like doing the collection as I struggle communicating with strangers, and causes me a lot of hassle to try and make sure I act as normal as possible as well as saying the right thing. I basically need to mentally prepare myself, and it's not enjoyable. I also feel anxious afterwards, and as you can imagine, it's not a fun time. The people on the office floor are nice, but to me, they're strangers and it's intimidating. I end up doing the legwork whereas Tam goes out and buys the gifts needed, and I have no idea what she buys and I can't really go with her either. I also haven't been asked to contribute to the collection either, so I get the task of doing the legwork when Tam should be doing everything only. I casually said that I would help with the collection, but I have said multiple times that I do not like doing collections. However, Tam will not go around the office and sign the card or get the money we need. I just feel like I've been dragged into doing this when I just don't want to. We both do share a lot of work and help each other out, but when given work, we both do the tasks given as expected. I do enjoy working with Tam, despite how I sound, but I just don't want to do collections as it's difficult to me. Maybe one thing to note is that Tam is also pregnant, and she's in her second trimester, which would make it difficult for her. I haven't told her yet how I feel, but there's more collections to come and I want no part in it, aside from organizing her maternity leave collection, which I'm more than happy to do. Would I be the asshole?
AITA for not attending my aunt's funeral. My aunt passed today. I have a huge CPA exam upcoming, which I've been studying weeks for. If I pass this exam and the one last subsequent exam before year end, I'll have passed all 4 exams, get $5,000 and the license I have been pursuing. The problem is my aunt's funeral is a few hours away, and it would be most if not all of the day, just a few days prior to the exam. I really think I need the time to study. I still need to talk to my mom, aunt's sister, about it. But just asking Reddit, AITA for not going?
AITA for not wanting our friend to ever come back to our house after he ate literally everything we owned? Not the a-hole. My husband and I live abroad. Earlier this year, a mutual acquaintance, let's call him K, reached out saying he'd been scammed with an apartment rental and had nowhere to stay. At first, we only offered a weekend, but he was polite, helped around the house, and seemed grateful, so we ended up letting him stay the full 20 days he'd asked for. During that time, some things rubbed us the wrong way. He never bought groceries, and multiple times he pretended he was going to pay but forgot his wallet, or claimed he could only use Apple Pay, not accepted at our local supermarket. He'd eat way more than his share. Once my husband and I shared half a pizza, and he ate the other pizza and a half without contributing. Still, we felt bad for him, so we let it go. We stayed friendly. And a few months later, we were planning a 17-day trip. Since he was struggling with rent, we offered him to stay at our place, in exchange for taking care of our dog. I even wrote a Google Doc with instructions for the house, dog care, gym access, etc. I told him he could eat anything that was going to expire, fruit, veggies, yogurt, etc. When we came back, everything was gone. And I mean everything. The entire fridge, freezer, pantry. He finished 2 jars of jam, a jar of peanut butter, a giant Costco bottle of olive oil, condiments, rice, snacks, cheese, even my husband's supplements, creatine, protein, collagen. He completely destroyed a ceramic pan. He consumed things that usually last us 6 months in just 2 weeks. I honestly suspect he might have taken stuff with him because it's insane how much was missing. I didn't confront him except to ask him to replace the pan, which he mocked me about. It's just a pan. Why are you making it a big deal? I felt deeply disrespected. Now he keeps texting me, acting like nothing happened, and wants to hang out. I told my husband I don't want him in our home ever again. My husband says I'm being too harsh, and if he wants to stay friends, that's his choice, but I feel completely taken advantage of and disrespected. So, AITA for not wanting to see this guy ever again and refusing to let him come back to our house?